The war ends in '89, and at that point, Iran and Iraq, together, both OPEC members, go to the OPEC meeting. And they go, hey, we're in really big trouble. We're in debt past our eyeballs here. We need some kind of relief. And OPEC agrees that what they're going to do is they're going to scale back production. All the OPEC members, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, everybody's going to scale back production. And then they're going to allow Iraq and Iran to increase production so that the amount of oil output will be the same as it was. That way there will be no price change. And that's the gift they're going to give to Iran and Iraq, because the amount of oil they're selling on the markets will be large enough that they will be able to sort of pay off some of this debt. Iraq notices something really weird. Iran does too, everybody does. The price of oil is plunging. The price of oil should not be going down, it should be stable, because OPEC agreed to roll back production to compensate for Iraq and Iran's increase in production so that the price would remain stable. But the price is not remaining stable, so somebody is cheating. And the OPEC members are looking at each other like, who's cheating? Well, not me. And then Iraq notices it's Kuwait. Their oil sales are through the frickin' roof. Kuwait's flooding the oil markets. And Iraq sends a memo. Hey, what are you doing? You agreed to lower prices. You flooding the markets is causing the price of oil to crash. We don't have revenue here. We're dying. We need you to decrease production so that the price will all go back up so we have the revenue. And then Iraq noticed something. So there are oil fields on the Iraq-Kuwaiti border. What happened was, when those oil fields were discovered, Iraq and Kuwait sat down and they worked out a deal whereby they agreed to how much each country could pump out per year. So, right, because there's no way to split the oil 50-50 by any other method than, okay, you get this many barrels per year, we get this many barrels per year, and you just pump it out of the ground at that rate. So that's what they did. Well, Iraq notices that the wells are going down, the oil levels in the wells are going down at a pace much faster than they ought to be going down if Kuwait is pumping at the right rate. And so Iraq actually starts monitoring this, and it's clear Kuwait is pumping out of their joint wells as fast as they can, and they're breaking the treaty. So Iraq asks for a UN team to come investigate those joint wells to determine whether or not Kuwait is in fact stealing the oil. They know the answer, they just need an unbiased third-party investigation. The third-party investigation concludes that Kuwait was in fact stealing the oil from the joint fields, but that Kuwait in fact was doing something else. The investigative team, the UN investigative team, noticed that there were oil rigs in the desert in Kuwait in places where there were no oil fields. But what they noticed was that nearby, across the border in Iraq, there were oil fields. And so they began monitoring, and they found out that Kuwait was slant drilling underneath the border right into Iraq. So Saddam Hussein asks Ambassador April Glaspie for a meeting, the US ambassador. Ambassador Glaspie shows up, she sits down. There's actually a recording of this. It's really, really grainy. It's terrible quality. And you can hardly tell what's going on, you can hardly tell what's being said, but there's a transcript of what was said. And in a nutshell, Saddam Hussein says, Kuwait is stealing our oil, the UN confirmed it. Here's the evidence. And Ambassador Glaspie goes, yes, the United States believes Kuwait is in the wrong on this. Saddam Hussein goes, I don't know what to do. They're undermining our economy. We can't get back on our feet. We've tried diplomatic avenues. They're non-responsive. And she goes, again, the United States believes Iraq is in the right here. He says, Iraq is going to have to do something about it. She says, the United States is unconcerned with what Arab states do to Arab states. He interpreted that conversation as, go ahead and invade Kuwait, we're okay with it. And he does. In August 1990, the Iraqi military enters into Kuwait. The battle takes 24 hours, making it not the shortest war or about war. Technically it's a war, right? It's just a 24-hour war. It's not technically the shortest war. The shortest war was when Germany invaded Denmark in World War II. That took 2 hours.